Hi.
Hi, Ashley.
Do you want us to have our cameras on? I know you're live streaming or off, or how do you want that?
It's up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. Obviously, I'll be face and center, but
Let's see. Oh,
whatever.
that's the top of my head. Oh well,
Um,
I didn't plan my outfit today, so we got the big earrings and it's hot outside, so we got the dress on.
I like it. I like it. I like it. As everyone comes in, it's okay. Like Ashley just mentioned, like if you're comfortable, have your camera on. Would love to see faces to names. Also, if you guys are comfortable, I'm always curious where everyone's joining from, how long you've been in the field, and what kind of, if you work in hospital, what kind of specialty. If you don't work in a hospital setting and you do other things, I would love to hear that as well. But let me get my slides and all that pulled up as we have people come in.
Do you want us to say that now, or?
You can drop it in the chat or you can share
Okay.
out loud, whatever you like.
Oh, okay. I'm Ashley. I have been in the field. I'm a veteran. I'm a RVT and a CVT, just different states. And I've been in the field. I was a different path. I went to school first before I ever worked in a vet clinic. So I
Awesome.
had no idea what was going on. And I've done lots of different things, but I'm always advocating for other people, but sometimes I don't think I advocate for myself. So,
Mm,
and
hear that.
but I do sometimes, but I just wanted to go. So, since 2011, so it's been a minute, 15 years.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I mean, I've come across, especially while coaching now and getting to know a lot of people, like seeing how many people actually have been in the field for over 10 years. And it's given me a lot of hope that it is possible for us to stay in the field long term. I know a lot of us get to the point where, we are getting burnt out, and sometimes, it takes people only a couple of years, but sometimes it takes us a little over a decade to hit that too. And I'm not saying that you are in it or anything like that, but it's been nice to see more of the over 10 years that people have been in the field since I've been getting to know a lot of people. When I was at a conference recently, I swear at least half people say they've been in the field at least 10 to 15 years, if not even longer. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, okay, that's awesome.
That's
So,
why I felt like when I was with NAFTA and we did surveys like at VMX and WBC, I was like, I feel like we did the demographic survey and
mhm.
like I felt like the numbers were skewed because it said like people made a lot more than, the average
Mm,
veterinary technician does. And I think those are the technicians that have been in the field longer and can go to those conferences, have that,
that makes
already worked
sense.
out through their companies as where the normal everyday technician that's not making that. So I felt like
Yeah,
the numbers were skewed a little bit in our demographic survey because
that's a
it was
good
at
point.
conferences.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that. Um, of like who is able to go, who is able to afford those things, and depending, of course, on the company, not all companies cover that. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it probably was a little bit. And so I guess it's a point of taking things with a grain of salt and really looking at, what all the underlying with that. But thank you for sharing that and giving a little bit about yourself.
And I'm in
I Go ahead. You're in Indianapolis, is what you said, right?
Indianapolis. Yeah, there we go.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm gonna just get going because I know sometimes my talks can, yes, they run around 45, but depending on how the conversations go, can be longer. So I want it to make sure we get through everything, but I know I've definitely have talked with Ashley before, but any of those that do come in and watch this recording, if you haven't met me yet, I'm Caitlin Warford. I am an RVT and a certified professional coach. I am the CEO of VetMed Life Coach. I went through my own journey of chronic burnout, always feeling lost within myself, thought the answer was, thought it was vet med, thought the answer was hopping clinics and doing all of that, that one day I'll find, the place that's going to give me what I deserve, what make me feel a little more, not have that sense of feeling lost or anything like that, and came across a clinic that was my unicorn clinic and still felt that lost feeling within a few months after starting, and recognized that, oh, maybe there's something within myself that I'm missing. So went through my own journey of self-growth and finding my self-worth and self-trust in myself and all of that. And coming to find out, I want to help others find the same within them, because I feel like a lot of us, I've noticed a theme within vet med, feel similar about ourselves. And one of the big things is we don't always advocate for ourselves, don't feel comfortable to do so. And so I feel like tonight's topic is something that a lot of us, or a lot of vet techs, do feel regularly and maybe don't really fully understand how to put words to it, what they're feeling, or what to do about it. And so, yeah, talking about worth and specifically why so many vet techs stay quiet about what they deserve, whether that's pay, recognition, basic respect at work, and what it actually takes to change that. And I always like to point out too, and want to say that this isn't a webinar about negotiation tactics. It goes deeper than that. I am someone, if you watch any of my things or talk with me and have one-on-one calls with me, I get deep with things. And uh, a lot of these things of searching for better pay or respect or setting boundaries, being able to advocate for ourselves, is more than just having the how to talk about it or say. It's more actually feeling it within you. So I go deep with things. So we're going to get into it. I want to start out here with a few questions, and I just want you to kind of answer them honestly within yourself. There, um, has there been a time that you feel like you've ever stayed quiet about your pay because you didn't want to seem ungrateful? I know I have for sure. Have you ever swallowed or haven't spoke up about a boundary because you didn't want to seem or feel difficult? And have you ever done more, said yes more, given more, and still felt like you had to earn your place? And if this is something where you're saying yes or you're nodding, I want you to know that you're far from alone. This is one of the most common patterns I see in vet techs, and I also had it within myself as well. Um, yeah. And so it's something that I've noticed as well that isn't really talked about. We avoid, these talking about these harder subjects or what we're feeling and um, what it is to actually speak up or set a boundary, and how difficult it is and why it's difficult for ourselves. And, um, just the feeling of being like the why, or the underlying feeling of why we feel ungrateful or don't want to seem ungrateful, why we care what others perceive about ourselves, and all of that as well. So um, I want to share something that completely reframes why this happens, and it is the core of everything that we will be talking about tonight. So what I really want you to hear is that staying silent about your worth is not being polite. It's self-abandonment. And I know we've been taught, especially in this field, and I will even argue before we join the field, that, but if we're talking about vet med in general, that good vet techs don't ask for more. We just work harder. We have to prove ourselves, wait to be noticed instead of speaking up. And somewhere along the way, that became confused with being a good person, being a good team member, a team player, and just being easy to work with. But here's the truth with that. Being polite is not the same as disappearing. You can be kind and still know your worth. You can be a team player and still advocate for yourself. Those things aren't in conflict, even though it does feel that way sometimes. So what's actually happening when we stay silent that it isn't being polite. It is a pattern of putting everyone else's comfort ahead of our own needs. And that pattern has a name, which is self-abandonment. So with that, I know, like I said, we're going to be deep in here, so get ready with that. Hopefully you're ready. But tonight here is exactly what we're going to walk through. So we're going to talk about why silence feels safer than asking for what you're worth, the real cost of staying silent, what self-abandonment actually looks like in your daily life of work, at work, and how to start shifting that pattern, and then what advocating for yourself actually looks like in real conversations. And at the end, I will give you something practical to take with you. So make sure you stick around for that. If you are watching the recording, I do provide my contact details at the end, and that is something that you can email me for if you would like that resource. Yeah. So let's start it off. Why this pattern exists in the first place. So I'm just moving stuff around here. Don't mind me. Okay. So why does this pattern start in the first place? And I definitely don't think anyone just wakes up and decides they're going to stay silent about their worth. It develops over time, usually for very understandable reasons. A lot of it is rooted in people pleasing and a fear of conflict. If you grew up needing to keep the peace, or if you learned that your value comes from being easy and agreeable, asking for something for yourself can feel deeply uncomfortable, sometimes actually even dangerous to do so. There is also a specific fear that shows up here. If I ask, I might seem ungrateful, I might seem difficult, I might even seem replaceable. And that fear can take over and be a lot of the reason why you feel you need to keep quiet. And on top of that, vet med culture itself often rewards self-sacrifice as a virtue. So the tech that never complains, who always says yes, who works through lunch, gets praised. So we learn that silence and self-sacrifice equal being a good employee. So all of that adds up to silence feeling like the safe choice. But safety in the moment isn't the same as safety over time. And I'm curious for those of you that are here, um, does this resonate, and what about it resonates with you if you're open to sharing, or at least just becoming self-aware of that within you and what is showing up for you? Yeah, go for
Like I was trying to find the little raise hand thing.
it.
I feel like I voice like what I want or need, but like say whether that be a pay raise, like I'm just looking back in history or like advanced duties or things like that. Um,
Yeah,
but I always get shot down. Like I feel like maybe I'm asking the wrong way or not doing it right. Like
okay.
I'm always like, I've heard a lot of no's from a lot of people.
Yeah, and would you say with hearing no's and hearing that it's kind of discouraging
Oh yeah.
from wanting to speak up?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you feel like with that, maybe the answer then your response is to just now stay silent because every time I even try, I get a no? Is that what you're kind of getting across?
Yeah,
Mm.
most definitely. And it's hard to hear no all the
Yeah.
time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a good point too. Very, very good point is the fear of rejection, the fear of, if I put myself out there, there's a good chance that they could say no. And what does that mean about me? Or what am I going to make that story like? What story in my head am I going to make up if someone says no to me? What am I going to make it mean about myself and who I am? Because if we have low self-worth already, and have a hard time advocating for self, it can be like we can make up those stories and twist it on ourselves to make it a reason that we're the reason they said no, like we did something wrong, when that's not necessarily the case at all. Um, Sharon said, always saying yes to staying late for shifts because places are never staffed appropriately or people who can do the things or with people who can do the things. Also, my response to multiple no's was to get into management, so I couldn't be told no when I wanted to fix things. That's funny. I mean, one thing too is like, if you want to be the one that changes the things and don't want to have to tell people no, I guess that's one way to do it too, just change your position. Uh, I like it.
Yes, that's what I did. I created an association that would change the thing, how things went.
I love that. And I mean, that's huge too. That's something that, a lot of people, if they have these fears, don't have the confidence to do something like that or have, because if you have fear of rejection or you have the fear of making mistakes or failure, whatever it is, like that can hold you back from doing something like that. And so I know, I'm sure you're talking about Vibet, and I just like love it so much that you're doing that and that you've done this and you're trying to change things, everything you do. I'm so impressed with. So it makes me feel pretty cool to have you here in my webinar. Just saying, fangirling
Yeah.
myself. Um,
It's just a lot easier for me to advocate for. I have a high injustice factor, so I don't ever want anyone to feel
mm,
in unjust or treated badly. But when it comes to myself, like I can let that take a back seat, and that's
mm,
why I wanted to come tonight and support you and do that
I love that. I
and
love
learn
that.
more. I
Thank you.
need a life coach.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But yes, if you haven't heard about what Ashley is making, we'll do a plug here. Vibe Vet. You should check her out, Ashley. If you want to drop any handles, you're more than welcome to there as well. Um, but talked about why silence happens, and so now with silence, I want to talk about what it costs to stay silent. So I think we underestimate a lot the cost of staying silent. Um, First, what I've noticed, and a lot of this comes from my own experience, and not only just what I've been through, but of course, what I notice with clients as well. But first, you have resentment, doesn't show up all at once. It builds up quietly, shift after shift, sometimes year after year, until one day you realize you're bitter toward a job or a person, and you're not always totally like you don't remember all the time. Like, you usually don't remember when that started. You might forget when it started, or um, it might even be going on a long time and you just popped up one day and was just like, wow, it's crazy how long that you've held on to something like that. Second, that there is a financial reality. Um, Getting Accepting lower pay for so long adds up. Every year you don't advocate for a raise is every year that you accept less than your worth. That gap doesn't stay the same. It grows. And then third, there's burnout. There's overgiving without return is not overgiving without return is not sustainable. That every year you don't advocate for, or I already went in that. Sorry, I'm totally all over the place. You can't keep pouring out without getting things back in return. You're gonna get burnt out if you keep overgiving without having someone that gives you the same kindness, that gives you the same, courtesy, curiosity, all of that. Fourth, and I will argue is likely the most important one, is that you have a sense of loss of trust within yourself. So every time you hold back from saying what you actually need, you teach yourself a quiet lesson. Your subconscious listens, that your needs don't matter as much as everyone else's. And that lesson, even if it happens mainly at work, it doesn't can stay contained there. Your brain can't tell the difference between a work related trauma or response to a personal one, it becomes, everywhere. And so that is why I argue it's the most important one there. Um, what I noticed, and I did share a little bit at the beginning of my background, is that I started, of course, went into vet med, and I was similar to Ashley when she shared at the beginning, where I didn't have any experience joining. I went to school first and then had my first ever job at a clinic. And I joined the field with a lack of self-worth, the lack of confidence, self-trust in myself, because I've been taught since a kid that to question my feelings, to question my worth, all of it. And so I went into vet med, and when you go into vet med, it's a similar environment where it feels comfortable because it's what I've known my whole life. But then you have this passion that's so strong, and then you're in a place of a current reoccurring toxic relationship, I feel like. And I continue to feel that lost feeling where I had this passion and I felt fuel sometimes when things were good, but it was never always good. And so when it was hard, I felt it really hard. And I'm like, why do I still feel the depression I did as a teenager? Why do I still question if being here is worth it? Why, just all of it. And so I mentioned at the beginning too, once I found a clinic that didn't give, like, that actually paid me what I was worth, actually wanted me to have a work-life balance and cared about our mental health and all of that. And I realized I still felt the same way, that I knew there was something inside me. And with that was contributing to everything. And so with years of that, I had no self-trust. I obviously didn't believe my needs matter and put everyone else before my own, and then wondered why I felt empty inside. So I want to um, kind of go into now of what does this look like in your day-to-day life, even though I kind of gave a little um, synopsis of what it is generally, but within vet med specifically. Um, so because self-abandonment, like, it's a term that is pretty broad and vague, but like what's hard about it is that, or actually what's kind of crazy, is that it's not doesn't always look dramatic. A lot of it is small everyday choices that add up together. And so that could look like saying yes to extra shifts. I know Sharon already mentioned this, but saying extra shifts when you're already depleted, because you don't want to let the team down or feel like you can't say no, or sometimes you have management that makes you feel like you might get fired if you don't pick up extra, or makes you feel like you're a bad employee if you don't. Um, Looks like not speaking up when you're asked to do more than your actual role. That could look like more responsibility, more emotional labor, just more of everything in general. And that's usually without the title or the pay to match as well. Looks like staying at a job that underpays you, because leaving or even just asking for more feels scarier than staying underpaid. And it looks like downplaying your own needs just to keep the peace, saying it's fine when it's not, smiling through things that are actually really, really hard. So, with that, is there, with both of you, I'm sure there has been, but what have you noticed, or if you, the examples I gave, or if you can think of anything with self-abandonment, what are the common things that you would notice within yourself that would be considered self-abandonment for yourself?
I just know when I went through really bad burnouts. I'm a neurodivergent person, so like I take medication and everything like that. And I was late diagnosed, and uh and I always try to be open with that. But it was during COVID that I was just working 60 to 70 hours a week. I worked an hour away, so that's a 2 hour drive. I had
Oh,
two
goodness.
toddlers. My husband's a police officer, so we were essential, and I just and I was the face of our department, and everybody just kept like dogging me on the internet that I make you just care about the money. I'm like, I'm not making the money.
Right.
But that's just what I remember, the burnout, and I had to leave like the client facing world. And so I'm now doing my first like relief job next week, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna see clients for the first time in 5 years. Oh my God. Do my scrubs still fit? So I don't know. But I found myself self-abandoning when I went in and they were like, oh, what do you want to make? And I was like, oh, well, I'd like to make what I made, my last job. But
Mm,
I mean, with my criteria, I could have went higher,
higher.
but I lowball myself, and that's what
Hmm.
makes me mad. But I can
Yeah.
tell everybody else, don't lowball yourself. But when it comes to myself, I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, let me not, let me make sure I get this.
Yep, I hear that, and thank you for sharing that. I, it literally just had that conversation with a doctor the other day that was talking about, charging, feeling bad for charging emergency services, and I'm like, I mean, we have to charge what we're worth. It's not just you. Like, yes, I understand the doctor, they usually have different things that they get paid and they, some of them are based off commission and stuff, but I'm like, you realize one, like what you charge to, also if we are actually charging what we're doing and believing what we're worth, like we can then increase wages, not just for like for the whole staff. Like that stuff you can do that's not just for you. Like I understand you feel bad, but what you're doing also helps the whole team. It helps the whole hospital, everyone. And then brought up the idea of like, I'm sure it's easy for you to tell the other doctors that are under you that you are teaching to advocate for themselves and to believe in their value. And he's like, yeah, I do. I'm like, so you deserve to do the same thing because and it's something we all do. It's so much easier obviously as a life coach too, so much easier to tell people like because I know what to do. Does that mean, especially as a neurodivergent individual myself, does that mean I always do it myself? Sharon can attest for this because we're accountability buddies. Uh, there are days that yeah I don't, we're human. You can do it, but we're human. And, you know, that's another point too, is like if you find something that you are saying to others and repeating and giving advice for, and this is something that was a part of my growth journey that I had to learn and start believing, is that if you are telling someone over and over again that they deserve something, that they oh, it's okay to feel the way that they're feeling, it's okay to say no to things, it's okay to set boundaries, about all of those things. If you're telling those things to other people, you deserve that same respect towards yourself. And I'll just stop it there because I could go on a tangent forever, but like listen to the words you tell other people and then give it back to yourself. That's what you deserve, and that's how it should be. And I know that's easier said than done, but that is what your body wants and your mind wants. So now that we can name what self abandonment looks like and what it looks like day to day, not just huge things, it's small little things that add up. Let's actually talk about how you start to shift it. And I did, I guess, in a way, give a little idea there um, on how to reframe things. But how do you actually shift something that's been running on autopilot for years? So I shared earlier that a lot of my behaviors in self-abandonment started when I was a kid and young. So that means I went 20 years without, with, 20 plus years, like self-abandoning myself, not knowing how to stick up for myself, thinking it's normal to be, to have self-abandonment and to do that. And it's survival mode for us at that point. So it doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. It happens in small repeated choices. And how it starts and how to start shifting the pattern is to start being self-aware and start recognizing when you are doing self-abandonment things in real time, when you are saying yes to shifts and you feel that dread that you're like, oh, I wish I would have said no. Um, not sending, boundaries, just anything in regards to if you say something and you agree to something or do something and you don't feel great about it, you need to notice that and recognize it for what it is. So it means, in the moment, recognizing that awareness and being aware of it. So that itself and starting to notice that in the moment, I will say you're not going to notice it immediately in the moment. It takes practice, but noticing it alone is huge. It also means practicing small moments of self-advocacy before the really big ones. So you don't have to start with the raised conversation. I want you to start smaller and recommend starting smaller. So saying no to something minor, maybe that's asking for a 5-minute break or to step away that you really need. Speaking up about something that small that's bothering you. And these small reps help build that muscle of starting to feel like, okay, I can do this. I can advocate for myself. It's not like they didn't actually react as badly as I thought. Because a lot of it, like Ashley mentioned earlier and brought up a little bit, is a lot of it could be fear of rejection or fear of, being made to feel shame and guilty for having needs. And so just doing things, like actually doing it, you might notice people are like, yeah, you deserve that. Freaking go. You actually should ask for more. It's just crazy the stories we make up in our head. I can't say I take my Tens all the time either, especially on overnights, but yeah, I hear you. It's bathroom habits too. I feel like that's another one. Like our basic needs that are for our health, um, that should be a non-negotiable and should be something that, no one should question at all. But from there, it's about separating your worth from your willingness to overextend. So your value as a vet tech, as a person, was never actually tied to how much you were willing to sacrifice. And that's a story and not a fact. And something that I work with a lot on my clients is, what is the story you're telling yourself? Is that factual? What are the facts behind the situation as well? And really starting to separate the story we tell ourselves versus the facts underneath it. Um, then underneath doing all of those things is building self-trust through small kept promises to yourself. Every time you honor what you actually need, even in just a small way, you're proving to yourself that your needs matter. Self-trust is built the same way any trust is built in small, consistent moments. And I will say, I'm guilty of this myself, and it's something that I'm still learning. Like, yes, I've built more self-trust in myself than I ever have before, but it shows that, growth is not just a overnight thing. It's something that you will always be doing. We're always learning. I truly believe that you'll never stop learning. And um, I now have to learn how to actually do the things I'm going to say to do every day so that I trust that I'm going to follow through with what I say I'm going to do. And that's now more little things, but I can trust myself with sticking up for myself, but now following through on the small things is what I work on. So this is even something I'm still working on in my journey because it's always going and always learning. But with that, we're going to get really practical and start talking about what advocating for yourself actually starts to look like. So we want to clear up a misconception about advocating for yourself, because I think it's what holds a lot of people back from even trying. I know um, that some of it is can be a fear from rejection, but advocating for yourself is not about being aggressive or dramatic. It's not storming in your manager's office with a list of demands. That's not what we're talking about here. It's about being clear, calm and grounded in your value. Completely different energy than what most people imagine when they think about asking for more. And the core shift with that is this: it's moving from justifying to owning. Justifying sounds like you're over explaining, comparing yourself to your coworkers, building a defense before anyone's even challenged you. Owning sounds like calmly stating your contributions and ask without over explaining or apologizing for taking up space. And I am really curious from you guys. Do you feel like when in a situation where you feel like you need to advocate for yourself that you immediately go into over explaining? Why? Because you feel like you're immediately going to get a no, or they're going to fight you or ask you, why do you believe that? Or why do you think you deserve that? Is that something you guys feel like you've done?
Well, I can tell you, I mean, we shared a story, not long ago about how I spoke up. Like, I made a pact with myself. I was like, three strikes, that's it. I have to say something. And it was over the course of, a couple of years. And I never got to talk to you and tell you how that story ended.
Oh,
So, I was actually like, I spoke up about discriminating against veterinary technicians on the state board, and I was quietly removed from my position. I was told, thank you for your superb service, and my term was ended early.
no, I did not hear that.
Yeah, so I haven't put
Wow.
it on like social media or anything, but
Right.
so I'm following the proper channels to
Wow.
uh to try and do that, follow up with that in a good way.
Yeah.
And in a justifiable way that doesn't have anger and
Emotion attached to
dismissive.
it.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
I had no conversations, no nothing. I was just told thank you. And
Mm.
somebody else was appointed to my term to fill the rest of my term.
Yikes.
Yeah,
Ugh.
so sometimes advocating, that's what shuts you down sometimes. It's like you tried and you gave it your all, and then you just get, blasted with the nose. But
Right. And
so I think
that's
that made me a little weary.
yeah, yeah. Can you what and I know you said you don't want to respond to like you didn't respond emotionally or like angrily through blasting it anywhere or anything like that. Like you're
Yeah.
trying to take the steps and the channels to hopefully do something about it in a way that's actually gonna make an impact or change or do
Yes.
something. Um with that and recognizing that, can you kind of tell me your thought process through that and how um like how you felt after and how you feel now with doing that, or any advice you'd give for anyone that's been
Oh,
through something
yeah.
similar?
So I did what I thought was right, and I brought it to, the attention of, it's discriminatory to not let the one RVT member or public member when it's all veterinarians not run for an officer seat when the statute. So that's why I went and am getting him. I got a bachelor's in legal support and services because I wanted the legal acumen, and I'm getting a master's in legal studies so that I could, because I didn't want to be a lawyer. I just wanted to have the legal know-how because I saw
Yeah.
so many illegal things that happened all over veterinary medicine. And so that's what I wanted to do. And I forget where I lost my train of thought. But what I stood up and I, voiced that something was wrong. And then how I'm going about that now, because like I wrote follow-up emails the next day, like, due to the Public Records Act, I was not what's the
Mhm.
word, rude or crude or like, why'd you do this to me? I was just like, hey, can I have the records? Can I have the transcriptions? Can I have this? This is the Public Records Act, and you have so many days to get it to me. And then you know I emailed the state veterinarian, the council, like I put them all in the same email, and I said, please, I request a written reply. I never got a written reply from anybody. I never got I got some partial records, and then, the only person that could remove me is the governor. And so I don't know what was said about me or what was
Yeah.
gone. I just know that I said, hey, this isn't fair and what you're doing is wrong. And, you know, what I'm doing now is following up with proper channels. So like we have the open door policy, act. So we can access to public records. So I want to know I did an APRA request that, just last month that I want all the records because government officials have to show you their records of what they did in their official government capacity. And
Yeah.
so I asked for everything involving my early dismissal, my removal, because I didn't hear a word. Nobody's
Yeah.
I've never broken bylaws. I've never been in trouble or been talked to about my conduct. And
Mhm.
just a few months before, my fellow veterinarians on my board recommended me. I ran for AAVSB director seat, and like your board has to nominate you. So like that was
Yeah.
just a few months before. And
Yeah.
then I also wrote the governor because the governor is the only one who can remove me. And so basically in statute it says he can remove me without cause. So he doesn't have to have a reason. So I just wrote him and just said, can you please write me back? I need your help. I just need to understand. I need to know more.
Yeah.
So that's what my justifications are. And if I don't hear anybody, then I have an escalation process.
Yeah.
So
So it
like
sounds
we can
like
do all those things, but
yeah, so it sounds like a paper trail is
yeah, so
important.
you want to
Yeah.
have your like, evidence one, evidence two, evidence three, document here. So
Yeah.
I
And
copied,
send
everything.
yeah. Yeah, setting up follow-up stuff too. And this is something too, when you start advocating it for yourself, and this is how a lot of people will stay silent too, is because sometimes when we advocate for ourselves, then something like getting let go or getting fired, whatever, or some negative thing happens afterwards, that makes our brain think in the story we tell ourselves that, oh, when I advocate for myself, something bad happens, so that means I shouldn't do that. When actually, it just meant you weren't meant to be in that space. Like that was a place that wasn't going to hear you anyways. It was a place that was just going to always make you feel less than. And even though it hurts and it sucks, you're probably better off. But like Ashley mentioned, having paper trail is always important. If you have hard conversations or you feel like you were let go for an unjustifiable reason or anything, like making sure you document everything is very important. And if you ever need to talk to someone in legal, like that's a thing too, because you never know. But that is unfortunately one of the hardest parts about working on yourself and growth within yourself is that sometimes you are not going to get a positive reaction to things right away. It might take a while. Ashley's even shared in this that she's had many no's. And I will tell you, I have had many no's myself too. But when you believe your worth and what your value and you have self-trust in yourself that you have your back no matter what, that you will pick up the pieces and you don't require anyone else to do it for you, all of that, you, yes, it's still scary, but you have that power and that motivation that I don't care what it looks like. I'm going to stick up for myself no matter the outcome. And so that's what the inner growth and work does for you, that you're willing to face those fears no matter how scary, even though, and recognize, like, yeah, it might hurt, but then I know my answer and I know the path that I'm supposed to take.
Like it
Go
was
for it.
scary. I had tears, but I knew it needed to be done and should be done. And I was like, the tears were coming, but I was still gonna
Mhm.
say it.
Yep. And
But yeah.
yeah, and it's okay to feel those feelings and admit that it's scary, but what's important is that, like I mentioned, when you follow through with these things and advocate for yourself, that's you telling your brain and your subconscious that you are trusting yourself in what you feel and what you believe is right. And that is what your body wants and craves, not what other people tell you is right and wrong or how you should act. Your body wants you to feel it within yourself. And to be your own best friend and trust yourself. And so, um, yeah, I'm not, and I know we went off, went on our own little tangent, and I'm sure, like, thank you, Ashley, for sharing that and how your experience on that, because I know a lot of that was a good point that like you can lose something for with advocating for yourself. Things can go away you don't expect, but that doesn't mean you should stay silent. Um, okay. So I'm not going to walk you guys through script live tonight because I want you to actually have something you can sit with, edit to fit your own situation, and use when you're ready. So we're going to talk about your free guide that I'm going to go over here and that I've built. So this is about financial asking for a raise of confidence. I built this specifically for moments like this. So when you know you want to have a conversation, but you're not really sure how to start it or how to have it. So inside of this document, which I'll try and uh, drop here in the chat. Oh, I have my chat open. What am I doing? Amateur over here. Just a second. I'm dropping in the chat. But like I said, if anyone is watching the recording and wants this resource, I will be sharing my contact information that you can ask for it. But inside, you'll find prompts to help you name your specific contributions, the increased responsibility you've taken on, maybe the leadership you've shown, the problem solving you've done, so that you walk into the conversation with real specific examples instead of just vague feelings. You'll also get the exact scripture of to use for the open conversation of how you want to express what you're wanting to portray and come across so that you make your ask clearly and calmly. And then practical tips for when and how to have the conversation so that it lands in the way that you want it to. I dropped that resource in the chat. Save it, share it with, whoever you think would be able to utilize that and get, use from it. And then when you're ready to have that conversation, like I said, this might not be something you're ready to go all in for and have right away, but using those micro things of advocating for yourself first so that you start to feel that confidence and self-trust starting to build and that worthiness starting to build within you to where you can go into this feeling like you truly believe you deserve this raise. Um, there. Um, with that, I want to also um, leave you with something that kind of ties all of this together before you leave today. Um, I, stress this a lot and teach this a lot to clients that I work with, to anyone I really talk to, that you are not asking for a favor. You are advocating for alignment between who you are and how you're being treated. Um, it's not about proving your worth to anyone. It's about standing in that worth. You already have it. It's just the conversation is just catching reality up to that truth of yours. And that worth is there, like I said, but like it's just hard to find at the moment because we haven't been feeding it. We haven't been uh, giving it what it needs and growing it. And when you do that, it'll come. Um, Other thing that I talk about a lot on my page and just in general that I don't believe the answer is always leaving vet med. I don't believe that. Sometimes it's most of the time because it's learning to stop abandoning yourself because I was one that questioned if being in the field was where I was supposed to be. Like I was even debating going back to school because I love reading and becoming a librarian and doing that. And then a lot of life things happened and I did a lot of self-growth stuff and come to find out a lot of the pain and the lost feelings I was having, like I've mentioned many times, came within myself and I learned to stop abandoning myself and starting to speak up and truly feel worthy and love who I am and not feel bad about it at all. And recognize not everyone's gonna love me. Not everyone's gonna enjoy me and what I bring. And I might be too loud and I might freaking swear all the time. But you know what? I know who I am at my core and I love who I am, and that's what matters. And, you know, learning that and feeling that has changed not only my personal life and how I show up and what I've done for myself in the last year and a half and where I've come is crazy. But not only that, like the confidence and the that I had in learning new skills, the confidence and the motivation of actually going to work and not dreading it, not having that anxiety that would give me GI upset before anesthesia. Like all of those things that I used to have on a day-to-day basis, now I can recognize almost pretty quickly because of just being self-aware of my signs, and I'm able to rewire and reframe that story I make in my head. And just to think if I wouldn't have done the inner work on myself, I could have left a field that has so much, that feels me so much that, we do so much for those that can't speak for themselves and that, gave us so much love when humans didn't give us the love we wanted and sought for, but animals did. And we're able to make a difference in their lives, not only their lives, but also the humans' lives. And I know that's something that I'm huge passionate about as well. But I just like to put that in there that answer isn't always leaving. And sometimes I really hope if you're listening to this and you're questioning, like look inside yourself first before you decide that for yourself. Even if it means you need a temporary break, definitely do some inner work and you might be surprised. You might be able to actually be in this field and not let it take over your life. So, um, yeah. I also just wanted to remind you that you are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to ask for more, not because you've earned permission, but because you were always allowed to ask for that. So with that, I if something tonight, with any of you here or watching, stirred something in you, makes you feel like there's hope for more inside yourself. There's hope for a career in vet med that you can stay long term and actually enjoy it. I want to tell you how we can keep going together. So, Reclaim is my 6-month one-on-one coaching program for vet techs and veterinary professionals who are ready to do that deeper work within themselves, the self-worth work within them, the identity work within yourself, the work that makes conversations like the one we talked about tonight feel natural instead of terrifying. It includes weekly one-on-one coaching with me. You get full Reclaim course library, monthly group coaching calls, and access to a community of veterinary professionals doing the same work within Reclaim alongside you. If any part of you tonight felt like, yes, this is what I've been missing, um, I will in a second have my contact information. You are more than likely or more than happy to send me an email, check out my social media pages, but I'm also in here, of course, have my link that I wanted to use shared on a different thing. So let me just pull that up really quick. I'm going to share in the chat my schedule link where you can schedule with me 15 minutes. So how I do it is a 15-minute connection call where we just have a conversation about what you're going through and what Reclaim looks like and potentially if it is even what you need. I will stress that I don't work with just anyone. I want to make sure that when we work together that we are a perfect fit with each other. Like I know 100% confident that I'm going to be able to get you the transformation that you are looking for. And so that call will kind of give us a gauge of if Reclaim is going to be that for you and do we have a further conversation or do we just have that call, get some clarity and give you some resources and next steps there. So I will, sorry, technical difficulties. I will make sure that I will send and have this link in my bio in my recording. for my YouTube. But if you guys are wanting that for yourself, like I said, um, there's no pressure. It's just an open door if you're ready to have that conversation and talk about it. Um, for those of you here that are here, do you have any questions or any thoughts or takeaways?
So what do we go to your you when we see this posted in YouTube and then it'll have your link, or is this it right here?
Here, I can, so you can message this. Sorry, I totally like put it in my notes on my notes page and then I'm
Oh,
not.
yeah.
Let me, I swear, because I know both of you, this is the most technical, like, and mess ups I've done in a webinar,
Oh
like, because I
no, it
know the
happens.
people. I'm like, God dang it. I'm making all
No,
the
it
mess ups.
happens. I'm an awkward Betty when it comes to
So
these things.
I'll share it here.
That's
Yes,
okay.
hi.
It's just a hi.
I know.
I just want I just wanted to say hi and thank you. Awesome, great session and good info and definitely resonated and called out on all of the things. But I just have to hop off because we're performing right now, so I'm gonna go run
Oh,
away.
fun. Have a good show.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, let me go into Zoom. I'm just gonna join it for
Yeah, just
my.
throw it in the chat so I can have it because I'm afraid I'm gonna miss it somehow.
Here we go. There we go.
Because especially I'm going to meet for the first time. I didn't know if I'd go back into clinical med, clinical practice,
Mm,
but tomorrow I go and meet like their team and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's happening. Like, don't be
yeah.
awkward.
I mean,
I'm just
that's
naturally
good.
awkward, so it's just my thing. But yeah, so I have it popped up your 15-minute call. I'll do this and schedule something and thank you. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, I need me a vet med life coach.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you for attending, and if any, like, we'll look forward to chatting with you. But um, just for anyone that does watch the recording, yeah, my contact info is right here. Please, that's a business phone number, so you're more than welcome to text that phone number as well. But it starts with looking inside yourself, and it's okay. And I want to say that I know there's a lot of shame and guilt sometimes when we have to admit that maybe we're the ones that are contributing to our unhappiness and how we feel. And just know that whenever we chat or talk, there's no judgment because I'm sure I've been where you're at, or I at least understand where you've been. And so there's no judgment or anything like that. And it's looking in that and showing yourself compassion and actually working through it that gets you where you want to be. And I can say from experience, the weight that has lifted off my shoulders since doing this journey for me, and um, how I feel is why I do it now, because everyone deserves to feel worthy within themselves, to feel capable, and to feel like they can do anything they set their mind to, and that they want to stay in vet med long term, because we need all of us here. We need to stop leaving, and because it makes me sad. But anyways, that's what I have. Thank you, and bye. Any close things? Thank you. Have a good night.